Time now for the markets with Leighton Spann. Leighton, cotton acreage is expected to nosedive in Mississippi this year.
Artists expected to be down over 40% compared to last year, 2012, and cotton futures, as you might imagine, are up this week. Well, also ahead in the markets, record U.S. poultry exports help grain farmers. Cattle placements hit a 17-month low in the latest on-feed report, and the pork sector may see some herd expansion underway. We begin with some analysis of the prospective plantings and grain stocks numbers that the USDA put out back on March 28th. As we noted earlier, Mississippi producers plan for less cotton. They also will plant more corn and about the same amount of soybeans. Now for the bigger picture on what these and many other numbers mean for the market, I talked with Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley on Thursday. Well, perhaps most anticipated reports of the year, and again, as it always seems to, corn grabbed the headlines out of this latest set of reports.
That's right, it really did, and it wasn't so much for the most anticipated report of the day, the prospective plantings report. It really stemmed from a shocking grain stocks report, which comes out each quarter of the year. Just quickly, the prospective plantings report, it looks like nationally farmers are expected to plant 97.2 million acres to corn, 77.1 acres to soybeans. Both of those are roughly in line with where we were at last year with acreage from a national perspective. Mississippi, corn acres, a little over 1 million acres for the first time since 1960 that corn acres have jumped over the million mark. And then soybean acres, 1.9 million acres to soybeans here in the state. So you're right, though, corn really did grab the headlines from that quarterly stocks report. And
we've seen a reaction, of course, in the livestock sector. Please, I guess we could say that the price of corn has come down.
It did. Corn stocks and elevators across the U.S., 5.4 billion bushels compared to an estimate of just over 5 billion. It was even higher than the highest expectation, and that was really what drove the market down. Nearby corn contracts off about 13% since the report was released. Since steadied out a little bit, but the 2 days following that report, it really took corn prices really took a hit. Soybean prices fell in line with corn, kind of rode those coattails because of the shocking number.
And you say corn may have a bottom even as we speak. Could.
You never really know, but it looks like it has steadied out since the report. Right now everybody's sitting on what planting's going to do, how planting shapes up across the U.S., and also moving into the growing season, how the crop really looks.
And what about soybean prices? What are you seeing near term and maybe longer term as a result of these numbers?
A similar story to corn. There was a little bit more soybeans in elevators across the U.S. than we expected, not nearly as drastic as corn, but the soybean market is still very tight, so we're looking for a really good crop. If that happens, you know, prices are probably going to be under some pressure. If not, then more than likely prices could go higher.
And there has been a little bit of concern as far as emergence in corn here due to our weather in the Mid-South.
That's correct. We get in early here in the Mid-South, and unfortunately some cold weather has come late. Soil temps are very low, and emergence has been delayed.
We move now to our trivia quiz for the week, and this week it deals with a popular fresh vegetable. The question, how much lettuce do Americans eat every year? The choices for answer: 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, or 40 pounds. You'll find out in a few more minutes. Well, record exports of U.S. poultry and eggs are also a benefit to corn and soybean growers. Greg Tyler of the USA Poultry and Egg Export Council says that those exports totaled over $5.5 billion last year. Now, that's a lot of chicken production, which naturally increased the demand for chicken feed, which is primarily made up of corn and soybeans. Tyler says he expects the export market for poultry and eggs to continue to expand, which will bolster the usage of U.S. meal and corn. Speaking of corn, lower corn prices certainly help the feeder cattle market, but not all analysts agree necessarily on how soon feeder cattle prices will rise. Trader Darren Newsom outlines what he thinks needs to happen to straighten things out.
Number one, we have to see the demand come back for feeder cattle, and if we keep posting these low live cattle numbers, you know, we're just not going to see the demand automatically come back for feeder cattle. The lower corn market certainly helps. So the longer we can keep the corn market under pressure, the more support we're going to build in the feeder cattle. I just don't think it has the same commercial or the same supply and demand fundamental situation that live cattle have. Yes, we could see a decent rally come out of the feeders, but it's going to depend a lot, I think, on help from both live cattle and corn. And possibly in the feeder cattle, we might be looking a little further out, because if we're going to start rebuilding this herd, it's probably not going to be for the summer months. It may have to be for the fall and winter.
Moving to pork now, the USDA's quarterly hogs and pigs report showed U.S. hog farmers starting to expand production. The U.S. inventory of almost 66 million head as of March 1st was up 1% from a year ago. Meanwhile, analyst Sue Martin is thinking more about pork exports. She says she believes the U.S. has many more trade opportunities for the hog sector coming in China because of several serious issues in that country right now.
Food inflation is supposed to be a little over 3% there, 3.2%. If that continues, that's a little high for a country of that size, so that means they'll import. Secondly, they've got hog disease. They've got some blue ear pig disease, but they also have hoof and mouth disease. And the number of dead pigs showing up is getting to be quite numerous. So what they report makes you wonder if it isn't way even bigger yet. That means they're probably, even though they say the hog prices are falling, I think they're going to be importing pork.
Last month, the state of Mississippi amended its catfish country of origin labeling law. Under the amendment, restaurants are now required to identify the origin of catfish-like species, such as basa and tra, that are served to customers. The amendment was unanimously approved by the Mississippi legislature during its regular session in Jackson. Well, before our feature story, the trivia answer for you this week, that answer is C. Americans eat 30 pounds of lettuce a year.